What is going on today, everybody? Bringing you another update on the Cobra Jet over here. We got CJ looking blue and beautiful. About to get into today's video. We got some stuff going on with CJ. As you guys recall in my last video, if you watched it, I got the new fuel filter in the car, as well as I was working on changing out that blower belt. Didn't really get much filming done on that, but as far as that blower belt goes, I had the wrong one, and it's going to be a couple weeks until I have the right one. But I want to get this thing running and just kind of like see if we cleaned her up a little bit as far as, some of the tune-ups that we're doing to the car. So I'm going to wind up just putting that stock belt back on the car. We're going to get the oil changed in this thing. We're going to do some spark plugs, kind of go through, check a couple of things, as well as we're going to throw a tune in it. For those of you who don't know or are new to Cobra Jets, I'm very new to them. This car is a little bit of a learning curve. These cars are purposely built as bracket cars, basically. So they only run a certain number. But I mean, you could open them up to an extent. So we're going to go into that here in a little bit as well. They come with the programmer, but you can only do so much with the tunes in these cars. Like, you can't customize anything in this car. It's all encrypted in the computer and the Cobra Jet tuner. So we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and get started on this bad girl and see what we can get into. We're probably going to go ahead and start with, as you guys can see here, I'm going to pop the hood up, but yeah. Get some hood on this thing. I have the belts off the car. We're going to go ahead and throw the stock belt back on it. I have the tensioner off the car right now as well, so we're going to go ahead and get into that. We're going to put these stock belts back on. We're going to get the car up in the air. We're going to drain the oil. We're going to put some fresh oil in it. We are going to get these covers off. We're going to go ahead and put some fresh plugs in it. In order to put plugs in it, we are going to have to pull off this massive air intake to get to the cover on this side to do the spark plugs. But it's all whatever you guys say, a do, I don't know. Anyways, but we're gonna get into this, and yeah. So I'm going to try and do speed up clips today to kind of like show you what's going on. But we're gonna go ahead and start with this blower belt thingy, pulley belt stuff. Makes boost, boom, boom, boost. I probably sound retarded saying that, but yeah, we're gonna get into this, and I might have some help coming in a little bit. A friend of mine was interested in coming over and getting involved with the project, so we will see if they show up or not. But in the meantime, let's get this thing lifted. We're gonna get started on this belt, and hope you guys enjoy the speed up clip. Okay, now that we are moving on to oil change things. Yeah. All right. Oh, this is kind of a cool thing about Cobra Jets. In case you guys don't know, the wheels on these cars are custom engraved Cobra Jet, which is kind of sick if you look at like the etching. Cobra Jet there. The billet cap has a Cobra Jet in it, as well as they do have that one etched Cobra section in the wheel itself, and they have all the weld etching in them. They're actually custom made wheeled wheels for the Cobra Jet Mustang, so they're actually a one-off wheel only made for these cars, which is actually really cool. Just some cool little neat things about these really cool super built Ford race cars. But anyways, so we are now under the car doing undercar things. And I wasn't prepared. I gotta go get my wrench, but we're gonna go ahead and get the oil draining in this thing. Get the oil drained out of her and change the oil filter. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on that now. And after this, we think we're gonna get to the spark plugs. So yeah, I'm gonna go get a wrench. So now we got a wrench for the thing. So we're gonna drain the oil. It was actually tighter. I loosened it before I turned the camera back on. Just so you guys know, it wasn't loose. Let's see if I can do this without making a huge mess. Oil things. Yeah. Pardon my weirdness. If you don't like my weird, I'm sorry, but I'm just weird. So, yeah. Take it or leave it, buddies. Buddies and gals. Oh, doesn't look too bad. Looks fairly new, a little milky. Should be finishing up here any minute. I believe these are 6.5 quart pans. It is a factory style oil pan setup, just like the Shelby that you guys saw in my earlier video. I did an oil change on that at the shop. I could have probably did it here, but I would have required me moving cars around, and necessarily I'm not really supposed to be doing this kind of stuff in this garage, but sometimes you just gotta work with what you got. Besides, it's a real pain loading this car up because I can't really just drag this car around. As far as oil changing this thing goes, I mean, the other car, the Shelby, I could just, drive that to the shop, move the car off of the lift, get it in. As long as we have a room and the space available. However, this car, a little more work. If I was to take it to the shop and use the tools and the equipment there, I gotta move cars out of the way, I gotta get the trailer ready, I gotta load it in the trailer, and I gotta take it to the shop, I gotta unload it out of the trailer. There's a lot more work that goes to that. Just for an oil change, I'm just gonna do this. And if I piss people off, I piss people off, I don't care. Well, it's actually not too bad. A little old, but we'll get some fresh oil in her and go from there. So I think I'm gonna pause this for now and pick you guys back up in just a second. So hold right tight, tight right, hold right things. Okay, yeah. So as you can see here, we are now putting some good old 1550 in this old Shelby Beast here. It's actually, these motors require 1550. I don't know if this is the exact kind of oil that came out of the car, but they do recommend a factory-based style oil. The manual says Motorcraft, but I'm putting Mobil 1 in it. It's a little better quality. I was actually thinking about going between like a VR1 or a Royal Purple, but it recommended the Motorcraft, so this is the closest thing to a Motorcraft, and I'm going to put it in without paying that Ford price on Ford products. But very interesting thing about the oil that came out of the car, I was noticing as I was kind of feeling it around on my hands. I don't know if anybody really does this or not, but I actually feel the runniness of the oil when I drain it out of the car. And the oil that came out of this motor had a little bit of a tack to it. When I say that is when I rubbed my fingers together, there was like a tacky contact. So it's almost like the oil that was in it had a very high zinc additive content. Not too sure what brand was in this motor, but it felt like it was a really good quality base oil. It still seemed like it was in really good shape. I'm just changing the oil for actual peace of mind. It's recommended to change oil in these motors every 2 to 3 events. I'm just really curious, what oil was that I took out of here? Because I know for a fact it was not a Brad Penn base oil, because Brad Penn has a green detergent Brad Penn is what I ran in my other motors over the years. But as far as what was in it, I'm kind of interested if they're just running like a zinc additive, which actually, you know, is a good thing to help kind of keep your motor together. And zinc is something to be careful with in, you know, modern daily drivers because it could be very bad for your catalytic converters. But however, this thing is straight open header, so not really much to worry about cats there. So I'm actually going to do a little more research and see if maybe Brad Penn or I can find another company that has a good zinc-based oil. Just because, you know, better quality oil, the better your motor is going to be held together. And I'm just kind of worried that the oil I'm putting in it isn't as good of a quality than what was actually in it. So I'm going to do a little bit of research. I'm probably just going to keep this oil in the car for like maybe one event and change it out from there. But yeah, so as far as that goes, the Mobil 1 shouldn't be too bad. I mean, for years in our old racing engines, we used to run Castrol GTX, even though we burned a lot of motors up over the years running nitrous. But I mean, just kind of give you an idea. I mean, oil will keep your motor together. Any oil will. But there are some oils out there that I do kind of prefer a little more, that are a little more higher in zinc level content. And it's kind of interesting because the Mobil 1, I am kind of feeling a little bit of that that tack. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. I mean, it's got a nice lip, but I mean, it's just the base of it. It feels a little thick, but it honestly doesn't feel like it had that tack that the oil that was in the motor had that came out of it. But anyways, this should be okay. Like I said, for one or maybe two races, but I'm gonna stay up on the maintenance on this thing and probably like every 2 to 3 races or events change the oil in it. If the car sits, I'm still gonna change the oil once a year. I mean, it's recommended maintenance for those of you who, you know, do know these things with your cars or even motorcycles. Like for example, if you guys follow my Instagram, I have that little blue girl hiding over there. Let's actually go take a look at her. So my bike over here, my YZ450F, I change the oil in this thing every like two rides, just to keep up on the maintenance. Just gonna give you guys a base idea. But anyways, yes, we're gonna move on and get ready to do spark plugs. Okay guys, so now we're gonna get into the spark plugs on this thing. Well, those of you who are Ford guys who actually know the dual overhead cam heads, they're actually kind of like a Hemi style head. The spark plugs are underneath this cover, just like a you know, any other 5.4 dual overhead cam or 4.6 dual overhead cam, such as like the Terminator Cobras or the Mach 1s, so on forth such. But we're going to go ahead and remove these Ford Racing covers, and then we're going to remove the coils as well as get these spark plugs out of here. And then over here on this side, like I was saying earlier, we're going to remove this massive air intake to get to the cover. Wherever my hand is, right here. See my hand? I got to get to the cover down here. We're going to remove these. Same thing on this side. We're going to get all the plugs out and get to this as fast as we can. Let's get this on a little bit of a speed loop so you guys can kind of see the process. Okay guys, so now we have the spark plugs out of the car. They're in some sort of an order. I always start from the front side to the back side of the head on each side. So I'd have to look into what the firing order is on these modular 4654s. I know the old school firing order for the pushrod motors by heart, 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. However, I don't know these by heart. I just kind of remember which ones I pull out of which hole. Not really that big of a deal in this case. Just kind of like glancing around at the plugs. They all look fairly about the same. They look a little on the leaner side. Some look slightly leaner than some of the others, like this one. It's very hard to tell, but it's got more of a white strap on the top section of the plug versus some of these other ones that are just slightly a little darker. That's signs of just being slightly a little richer per cylinder. Fuel mapping can have a little bit to do with that, as well as old bad gas as well. Could kind of mix up the detonation in the motor as well. But so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our new spark plugs and we're going to prep all these to put into the motor. Just verify that we have the same style plug. I am putting iridiums in the car. These are going to be slightly a little hotter, but from that, it looks like it's the same thread pitch, same size plug, so we're in good shape here. So one of the very important things to do with spark plugs is a lot of people don't pay attention. You think you slap a spark plug in. Any actual automotive enthusiast and engine builder knows that there are specs to the gap on the spark plug to get a more consistent and equal firing order range as far as the detonation in the cylinder. So they all need to be gapped the same. I kind of just looked at a couple of these. The book for this motor actually recommends to gap the plugs at 35, and these for the most part look like they were gapped at 35. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure that these new plugs are a snug 35. That's a little loose. So we're going to go through all these plugs, prep them up. We're going to put them at a 0.35 gap, as well as we're going to apply a little bit of anti-seize on each plug before we do put it in the motor, because we are screwing plugs into aluminum heads. And anti-seize, for those of you who don't know, when working with aluminum heads, this will save your heads as far as putting your plugs in. You apply a little bit of this to your plug, not a lot, and this kind of saves you from gouging and coring out like the threads. And it also makes, spark plug removal easier in the future. Some of these were a little tight taken out. They were probably in the motor for a while. The interesting I was looking at is this is a NGK. These are all NGKs. I thought I saw a Motorcraft. Interesting. NGK. Huh. For some reason I thought I saw Motorcraft when I was pulling them out. Anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and start prepping these new plugs and get ready to put these into the motor. Okay, so now we have all these prepped, ready to go. There is a little bit of a mess I need to pick up, and I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these old plugs now. I already kind of did a thorough inspection. They all look fairly about the same. Some are slightly darker than the others. I think it just has something to do with the bad gas in the car. Probably the detonation was slightly off, but let's go ahead and get these all cleaned up, put into those boxes, and we'll get on and going to putting these into the new car. So yeah, let's and just like that, it's like magic. I just cleaned this shit up, yo. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get ready to put these into the car. Excuse me, getting a drink of my beverage, but should be pretty straightforward. Now that we got the plugs ready to go ahead and slap them into the heads, get the covers and everything put back on, and then we'll go ahead and get this all put back on, and should be wrapped up. So just bear with me for a second, guys, and we'll have it all put back together. We got some stuff done today, guys. As you can see, we got the belts back on the car. we changed the oil, filter, and did all 8 spark plugs, which actually was not hard at all to do on this car, which is pretty amazing. As far as it comes to like daily drivers and stuff like that, spark plugs are a pain in the you-know-what. But yeah, spark plugs weren't too time consuming. As you guys saw, we did the gap and everything, sped that up. I think that looks kind of cool when we do that. I don't know. New to this stuff anyway, so it'll get whatever, I guess. I don't know. Me being weird again. Anyways, but hope you guys liked the content you saw today. There's going to be a 3rd video coming very soon with this car. We're going to do the tune update, as well as we're going to fire her up. Maybe we'll drive around the neighborhood, see how she's sounding, you know, make sure she's running crisp. Last time we ran it, you probably see in my intro video, we have this thing doing a burnout over in Mexico. But as far as that goes, it was popping a little bit in the burnout. There was like a miss. So we're hoping some of these things that we're doing is going to help correct and fix that. A couple of other things I was thinking about when I had this thing apart was the fact that they did use a OEM style coil pack on these cars. These are coil-on packs per spark plug. So that would be another thing I can maybe check. As far as that goes though, I figured it would probably tell us on the computer system, as far as if there was a miss, it would tell us. So that's another thing I'm going to look into and make sure there's no issues with that as far as that goes with the system. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, I hope you guys like the content. Like, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, wherever it is. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys are looking forward to the next one. But until then, have fun, guys. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.